Okay, so there's a huge market alert going out, and it's pointing to a massive, fundamental shift in AI. But here's the kicker. It's not about the code, it's not about the algorithms. It's about something much more, well, physical. We're talking power, pipes, and the hard limits of the real world. Let's dive in.
Yeah, this quote just nails it, doesn't it? Forget the software. It tells you everything. The whole, abstract world of AI has just slammed headfirst into a brick wall of physical reality. This isn't just some small step forward. The source is calling it a full-blown crisis, and it's changing absolutely everything.
All right, first things first. Let's really get our heads around this physical reality of AI. The growth has been absolutely explosive, right? Well, that growth is hitting a wall, a serious physical bottleneck that is forcing the biggest names in tech to completely rethink their entire game plan. And this big change of plans, it actually has a name. It's being called the Great Compute Migration. What is it? Well, it's exactly what it sounds like. A massive strategic move of the very brains of the AI revolution. We're talking about uprooting them from traditional tech hubs and moving them to places that can actually, physically, power them. And look, we're not talking about small players here. These are the titans, Google, Microsoft. And they're not just, expanding. The source material uses a really strong word, fleeing. They're literally fleeing because the US power grid just can't handle the load anymore. It can't keep up. So they're looking for refuge, finding it in what's being called the new AI Energy Alliance. Basically, countries with a ton of stable, available power. So, as you can imagine, this massive physical move is kicking off what's basically a new war for digital territory. Think about it. When the core digital infrastructure of a country physically moves somewhere else, well, that's going to cause some problems, some new conflicts. This goes way beyond a simple business decision. This is redrawing the entire map of global power. And of course, governments are not just sitting back and watching this happen. They're reacting. The US, for instance, is starting to assert something called digital sovereignty. It's this idea that they have jurisdiction over their citizens' data, no matter where in the world the server that's processing it happens to be. And yeah, you can bet that's creating a whole lot of political friction. But here's where it gets really interesting. You'd think all this political friction would slow things down, right? Nope, it's actually doing the exact opposite. It's accelerating the migration. Why? Because the countries that are now hosting these data centers and the companies building them are in a race to create truly independent, totally sovereign infrastructure that can't be touched by legal or political challenges from other countries. And this whole migration, it's the engine behind what could be the single most important economic trend for 2026. It's a total 180, a complete reversal of a pattern that's been in place for decades. They're calling it hardware's golden cross. I mean, think about it. For as long as I can remember, software was king. That's where the real money was. Hardware? That was just a commodity, low margin stuff. Well, that era is officially over. As AI turns into this giant physical beast, the companies building the specialized hardware, the physical homes for this AI, their profits are just going through the roof. And you can see that historic shift right here. This is the moment. We're literally witnessing the point where the profit margins for these critical hardware companies are crossing above the software companies. It's a whole new economic reality, visualized. So why? Why is this happening now? Well, it's pretty simple, actually. The hardware isn't optional anymore. It's not interchangeable. The amount of heat these next-gen AI models pump out is just insane, which makes things like advanced liquid cooling an absolute necessity. It's not a nice-to-have, it's a must-have. If you don't have it, you're not in the game. And that gives the companies who make this stuff incredible pricing power. Okay, so with this huge infrastructure boom happening, how do you even begin to track it? Well, the analysis lays out a really smart tactical strategy, a simple framework, really, to spot the key players who are set to win big from all this. It's called the PPP framework. Easy to remember. First P is for politics. You want to bet on companies that are politically protected because they're building exactly what these sovereign nations are demanding. The second P is performance. This means you follow the money. Track the order books for companies with unique, patented tech. Cooling is a huge one here. And the third P? Protectionism. Look for the firms that are getting a nice boost from local production subsidies in these new AI hubs. So the big takeaway here, the crucial point, is that your focus has to shift. It's not just about the individual chips anymore. It's about the entire physical system that lets those chips actually do their job at scale. We're talking about next-gen cooling, modular data centers, and the massive power infrastructure needed to feed the whole thing. Just take immersion cooling, for example. I mean, this isn't just a slightly better fan. It's a whole different ballgame. We're talking about dunking entire servers into a specialized liquid to keep them cool. It sounds wild, but this is exactly the kind of essential, game-changing tech that's now calling the shots in the market. So if you want to boil this all down to one single idea, it's this. The cloud, that abstract thing we all talk about, is becoming a very real, very hungry network of actual buildings on the ground. The most valuable real estate in the digital world is now physical. And that leaves us with one last, pretty provocative question to chew on. In a world where you can't run the code without the cooling, and you can't even get the cooling without the power, have we actually reached a point where the physical shell is now more valuable than the ghost in the machine?